God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and welcome to Young People Nation. Today we're going to be on the topic of anxiety, and we are honored to have Mr. Dexter Peggins Jr. Mr. Peggins is a husband, father, pastor. He wears so many different hats. He's a veteran, he's a mentor, he's an author. He's on the advisory board of My Brother's Keepers, New Leaders Council, Purpose Center, just to name a few. And we're just honored to have Mr. Peggins today, who likes to be called Dexter, correct?
Dexter, keep it simple. Thank y'all for having me.
All right, okay. So we're going to be talking on anxiety today, and we want to give a disclosure. We are not professionals. We're not clinicians. We're just regular people speaking on this subject from experience. Correct, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So don't try to go out there and do what they're saying to do. Okay. Go to a specialist to get the help you need. All right. So let's talk about your personal experiences with anxiety. When I looked up on Google, the definition of anxiety is a disorder of, anxiety disorders are a type of mental health conditions. Anxiety makes it difficult to get through your day. Symptoms include feelings of nervousness, panic, fear, as well as sweating and rapid heartbeats. So let's talk about that in your own personal experiences.
Yeah, I was thinking about, as you were talking, a particular incident came to my mind. So after I got out the military, I happened to find myself in the opportunity working as a hospital chaplain in Louisville, Kentucky, Norton Hospital. And there was one particular day where I had been seeing a particular patient of mine throughout the course of the day. And I had a feeling that patient was going to transition, that they would pass away. And I remember I was in the break room and I heard the code go off. And sure as you have it, my pager went off, letting me know I needed to go there and talk to the family. And I can remember just how tense I felt, just the man, I do not want to have this encounter right now, because the family was really hopeful that this particular patient was going to make it through. And it was just a really difficult time to have that conversation, to console that family as, they were experiencing their loved one transition.
So you felt the nervousness, the sweating?
I felt it all. I felt a little
fear,
like pain in my chest. It could have been fear. I just remember not really wanting to go into that room, knowing that I had to go into the room. And so in that moment, I had to get myself together so that I could be of support to that family.
So what did you do to bring yourself down there?
Said a quick prayer. I know that the reality was I couldn't run from the moment. I was the only chaplain on the scene, and so at the end of the day, I had a job to do. Right. So I was able to get myself together in that moment, and like I said, be able to support that family.
Okay, all right.
My goodness, I remember my first time when I experienced anxiety. Anxiety is really was taught to me, because it is a modification of fear. False evidence assumed real. And what happened was I was brought up during the Jim Crow areas of my life, and with certain restrictions on minorities. And what happened was I was playing with the kids down the street, and the mama came outside and said, "Come inside." So I came inside and I came through the front door. She said, "You can't come through the front door." I was like, "Why not?" And she was saying, "Because those are the rules." And I said, "Wait a minute," and then it didn't escalate from there. She said, "Let's don't do it again." And right then and there, I knew there was a restriction there on me because of my color. But before then, we were just kids. It didn't make a difference. And then the other things came to actuality: the separate bathrooms, the separate water fountains, and stuff like that. So as time went on, just to come into present, they said, when you come into the present, look down, don't look another person in the eye, and all like that. So that brought out fear and anxiety in me just to be around.
That's interesting there.
And by that was taught. I never felt it before and never noticed it. But as I went through the transition like that, it kind of built. My heart would race. My thinking was clouded, and I would sweat, and it felt like I had to throw up, and all for something that hadn't even happened. It set the stage of an anxiety state. So for me, anxiety was taught.
That's powerful. And so therefore you experienced that from your childhood.
Yes.
My goodness. Because we do have some children that deal with anxiety from their childhood. And you just expressed that.
Yes, I very seldom ever talked about it, because it's the past and all that. Then I say the past is the past, and we mature on, and with the teaching of Christ and all that, you grow to a certain level. But before Christ and all, drinking from the different water fountains and other things you had to go through, it was a taught response, and with a taught response, it took a millennium to grow out of it, because I remember the first time we came segregated, and the kids came on the bus and all like that, and first they wanted to pick on them, and I said leave them alone, and then after we got out there and so associating with each other, they were the same as we were, and so friendships begin to develop. And it came to be a regular basis of normalcy, with all the news reporting and everything was going on, the riots and Martin Luther King marching and all like that. It was a different era of time.
So let me ask you this. So for our young people today who, I can identify with you, but some of our younger artists can't have no clue what he's talking about. But some of our older people, like myself, I mean,
guess I
can
told my age, huh?
It's okay. Hey, it's okay, but that's your experience, and I'm glad that you shared that. So, for our younger people, anxiety is a word you hear often in our younger people and in the community, and I know. Dexter, that you deal a lot with young people, and you mentor young people, and Mr. Perry, you have too. So, what are some of the experiences you've had with some of our younger people with anxiety?
Yeah, that's interesting. I can actually kind of tie it into maybe some of the things Mr. Perry was actually hitting on as well. I think with the young men that I've worked with in the past, and even looking at my own experience, and I think from what I heard Mr. Perry say, a lot of it is connected with the inability to handle unrealistic expectations.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. And what I mean by that is that there's a fear of not being able to perform to a spoken or unspoken standard. And ultimately, and unfortunately, in many instances, there's a maybe a punishment associated with not being able to perform, which then in turns allows them to take on this undue pressure.
Right.
Okay.
And so if I don't perform, something bad is going to happen. And so while that's not being expressly said, it's what the mind is saying, that if I don't rise up to the occasion, something bad is going to happen to me. And so with a lot of the young men that I work with, what I begin to see is there's almost like this attitude where they're quitting early.
Right.
Like, it's really weird. Like there's the resiliency is not there, because they by the time I meet them and we get introduced, they've already created a self-preservation mechanism that says, you know what, I'm not going to try for fear of being punished if I don't succeed. And so, unfortunately, that's something that can be a difficult hurdle to overcome, but it's definitely something that needs to be challenged, and it's something that needs to be cultivated in these young people so that they're not afraid to make those errors and to realize the success that comes from attempting, failing, and then retrying again.
That's very good. And I want to ask you both, what caused you to look into your journey with the anxiety? Because I heard two different spectrums here. So was it something unusual about your behavior that helped you to recognize that something was wrong or off with you?
For me, I got to the point where I was just like, why does this make me nervous? Like, I just didn't like how it felt, to be presented with an opportunity, and before even trying to attempt, I would feel this nervousness, like maybe I can't do it, and I just didn't want to live my life that way, and so that put me on the road of exploring what's going on inside of you that causes you to, I use the word self-sabotage a lot.
Yes.
In essence, I was self-sabotaging out of what I perceived to be fear on the other end of an opportunity.
Okay. Wow.
Well, with myself, when I was growing up, I was a plump kid. I was 100 pounds in the first grade, no front teeth, and I stuttered.
And that's his story. He's sticking to it.
That's right. and I stuttered. And so my father did not encourage me or did not try to build me up. He would just say, get over here, fatty, or whatever like that. And then when I remember when we came outside, I would run up to him and say, Daddy took me to the house. He said, you too fat. I can't toast you. I can't pick you up. And so my self-confidence just went down to my shoes. And when public speaking in class, they would say, okay, it's your turn to read. I would fear that so much to try to read, because every third word I would stutter. And the anxiety just built up. My self-confidence was low as dirt. And I was trying to say the words, and kids would laugh at you and all like that. So it wasn't that I was viewed as being stupid, but I was very intelligent, but I just could not say the certain words. And when I got real nervous and all like that, it was to the point where I will be in such fear and the anxiety and the preparation for that. When they said your turn to read was so great, it felt like I had to throw up. I felt dizziness. I mean, back there then you didn't know what it was, and so I would read and I could hear the snickering in the back, and that made it even worse. And then I got to the point where I was sitting in the back of the class. I didn't want to sit up front, even though I knew the answer to the questions and the math problem. I couldn't say it. I could not say it, so I would always sit in the back and always be the last to come out, dragging behind, and had no self-confidence whatsoever. And my teacher would be like, come on, let's go, and all, you always last. It was always no words of encouragement. And many of our kids suffer from the same thing. So it's so important that the parents build the kids up, no matter whether it's male or female. And now we have a serious problem with social media. They put you on the on blast all across the country. Okay, you stuttering in class. It's all everywhere. Everybody knows it. You're on everybody's program, and you can see yourself. And all you can do go in your room and hide. You can't delete it. You ridicule. You're drugged through the mud, and pretty soon you believe that yourself, that you are what they portray.
I wanted to hit on a couple of signs so the audience, maybe everyone do like a self-examination, because as you gentlemen are talking, I'm just thinking about myself as well, and everyone has to do a self-assessment. Are you feeling restless, wound down, or on the edge, being easily fatigued, having difficulty concentrating, being irritable, having headaches, muscle aches, stomach aches, or unexplained pains, difficulty controlling feelings of worry, having sleep problems such as difficulty falling or staying asleep. This is just a few that I saw myself online and kind of looked at myself. But again, we do recommend that you go and get you some professional help, and explain what is going on with you so you can get the proper diagnosis.
Most definitely.
I want to ask you, gentlemen, what worked for you? Did you use like holistic approach, spiritual approach? Because God got different ways. We just have to be open to the way that works for you.
Yes.
Or medication. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'm definitely an advocate for God and therapy, so I'm not one of those preachers who say it has to be one way or the other. I'll say this: I am a person of prayer, so prayer is always my catch-all.
Yes,
I've tried to actually go to a therapist before. That particular therapist, I don't think we were a good fit.
Okay,
but it is something that I'm actually even looking into right now, because I see the value in being able to talk, having people ask, pointed questions that maybe lead you down the road to a greater level of self-discovery.
Yes.
But for myself, like I said, prayer has been key. I've allowed God to minister to me in those areas that were broken.
Yes.
And I've experienced the healing as a result of being open with my God and Lord and Savior.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. I myself, I'm like you. My husband I'll pull to the side and pray quickly. But I am like you. I believe in the definitely the spiritual side, to be connected with God, Elohim. That's Abba Father.
Yes, ma'am.
That one. Okay. But whatever works for a person, that's between them and God. And however, I am an advocate for therapy.
Yes.
We have an awesome therapist. We thank goodness for Ms. Rosetta Austin, who recommended this gentleman that we go to, Mr. Chris Cochran.
Yeah, you hold your feet to the fire.
Life management, and he is really, really good. And he's really helped us, along with his team, helped us in, us as individuals and us as a couple.
You hold your feet to the fire, that's for sure.
No, I know Chris, and Chris is a good man.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
I know with myself, when I was coming up and all, we were not true believers when we were coming up, and so God uses many different avenues, and it was a picture that come on Kung Fu, and they were doing meditation and all, and I tried it about from watching that program. As a kid, because back then there wasn't such a thing as therapy and all like that, and so I did that, and the more I
afford it.
and more relaxed I got, and the more self-confident I got through that, I was able to move to the next stage. They have confidence in myself and speaking. Being able to control my breathing, that was the most important part.
Okay.
Once I controlled the breathing part, it affected my whole body. I was able to relax, and as I spoke, the stuttering started being minimal, and I was able to, articulate and able to talk to individuals with much more elegance. And it didn't matter. I had no front teeth and all. I could still say the words pretty good. And through the meditation part, it was a big relief and able to move to the next level. But God used that. He using many things. He might have a person say something to you right out of the blue, and it changes your whole life. I give God all the credit because he would guide me in my own ignorance, and I ain't know it.
Okay. Well, this has been an amazing session, just in general, talking about your own personal experience. And again, we're not clinicians. We're not professionals. We're just people who have dealt with anxiety. We always like to give out a few hotline numbers because we never know who's listening. We have the 988 hotline. We have the text home to 741-741. That is free, 24/7 crisis counseling. Also, there's a 211 for general community resources. You can call that number. Also, 800-783-0607. So we're going to close. And Dexter, what do you have? And then we're going to hit Mr. Perry, and it's a wrap.
I'll just say this, as we're talking about anxiety and throwing in the faith aspect of it.
Yes.
I believe it's Philippians that says, be anxious for nothing.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've had to learn was that the nothing means nothing. And so the reality is that whatever I'm going through, it's my personal conviction that God is well able to keep me and to help me overcome that issue. And so the remainder of that text says, be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, make your request known to God.
Yes.
So whatever it is that is attempting to make me feel a certain kind of way, I bring that before the Lord, and I trust that everything will work itself out from there.
Awesome.
I always say that God got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He'll use any kind of device to steer you. You might go around a little circle, but you wind up in the same spot. So take time out to find out whether your life, in your life, whether you're living or just existing. And this has been Young People Nation. And remember, there is always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There is nothing like the Savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.